Hey guys, welcome to this demo on the character panel. So I'm just going to go over each one of these headings here with the character panel. So first thing I'll do is Control T to pull out the panel, and then I'm just going to go and demonstrate each one of these headings here. So the first one's point size. Anytime that you have text that you need to apply an edit to, you're going to want to first click within the actual text box. And then if I'm going to change all the point size of the text within there, I can do a triple click and it selects it all. Then you can notice right here in the point size section of the character panel, you can just click up and it starts to increase the point size. You could also click down and it will increase or decrease that point size. Depending on what your goals are, sometimes clicking is the way to go about it, but if you know that it's going to be like 30 points, you can just type in 30 and then hit enter, and then it changes the font. Because this doesn't actually read correctly, I would then mess with my leading to make those words not actually run into each other. So that's going to 30 points. I'm going to bring it back down to 15, and then I'll adjust leading to make it read nicely. So somewhere around there. Typically you want your leading to be like 1 point within the same point size as your font point. So if the font is 15 points big, then your leading would be about 15 to 16 points as well. So leading, I'm moving over to the leading section here. I first can click on it with the move tool. If I triple click within it selects the whole thing. And you can notice here my point size is at 10 and the leading is set to 11. So again, it's just one more than the actual point size of the font. And again, if I want to increase the leading, it just pushes more space between those lines of text. If I decrease it, we can go to 0. Well, actually, we can't go to 0. We can go to 0.1 points, and that's the tightest it can go. You can't really go into negative leading just because the lines would then cross in the opposite direction. Then you would lose readability because sentences would be reading from the bottom up. So that's leading directly across from point size. Kerning deals with specific space between two different letters. So if I want to say bring in the space between the E and the M, I can select it there, and then I could just start hitting the down arrow. That makes it negative. You'll notice with kerning you actually have to put in some pretty high values to bring it down. So in this case I'm going to type in 100 just so you can see it, and there you see the M moves in towards the E. Same in the case between the I and the P. I wanted to do the same thing, bring some more space in there. I can do negative 100, hit enter, and the P moves in closer to the I. Conversely, if the space between the E and the M is too tight, maybe I want to make it 0. So instead of negative 100, I'll put 0, hit enter, and the main goal there is to make minute adjustments that actually aid with readability. Alright, tracking allows you to globally change all of the space between all of the letters. Right now you can see my tracking is auto set to 50. I can put a 0 in there. You can see all the type kind of scrunches together. I'm going to go ahead and put 100 in there just so you can see it. And there's more space between the letters, 200, so twice that. Again, there's a point at which when you track out the letters too far, readability gets strange because it just looks like a bunch of alphabet soup. The words don't actually have connectivity with each other. So if you select it all, I would say somewhere around 50 is pretty good. I might push it up to 60, but beyond that, you're gonna wanna maintain your tracking, not get too much error in there that makes the words kind of fall apart. Vertical scale, again, notice I'm already in the type tool. I do a triple click, it selects all the type, and here it's at 99%. I can push it up to 100. These values should preload at 100, but it looks like I was messing around with the character panel before, and so it may have preset it to there. So you can notice I'm approaching 200%, and you can see the vertical scale is now distorting the type in a vertical direction. Triple click the horizontal scale, it's at 114 already. You may deceive yourself in thinking that this is actually tracking out your type. I've made that mistake, but it's really just making each letter a little bit wider. So check out those values just so that you know what's actually taking place there. So here's my vertical scale and then my horizontal scale set back to 100, and that would be the proportion that the typographer would have designed it to be. So I'll set this to 200 just so you can see it as a distorted in the horizontal direction. Baseline shifts is kind of cool in that if you want to put words up or down. So in this case, I can push that up to like 30 points. You can see it's already above the baseline shift title. So that doesn't really help me with readability. In the same way, I can drop things down into a negative direction, so below the base height. You can also modify individual letters with that base height adjustment. Or individual words. So there's our baseline shift. Then last one, rotate. This isn't one I use all that often. You'll notice, like, as you go in the positive direction, the letters lean to the left. As you go to the negative direction, letters lean to the right. And then they've also got these like presets, so if you want to go to like 45 degrees for some specific reason, you can actually set that. It's preset for it. So this is our basic just demo on the type tool as well as the character panel. If you ever see this little like character show up, it looks like a red square with a plus sign in it. That means that there's type that's outside and unseen in the text box. And a kind of cool thing that you can do within Illustrator as well as in InDesign is if you click on that, it should create, in some cases you can actually, there we go. So it'll create this little icon here if you click it perfectly. And if you click somewhere else, so I'll move up here, it makes another text box and puts text into it, so the same size. And you could keep doing that until you end up running to that white square at the back there. That means there's no more text. You've kind of like seen it all, and it's all being displayed. The cool thing about this as well is that these text boxes are actually linked together. So if I was to like take type and paste it in there, it just continues to fill all the way across those linked text boxes. And you can see that they're indicated with that link by having that red line that connects them. So that becomes a good visual cue for like where content is flowing in a design. So say you're designing a poster that has, you know, columns of text. This would be a great way to be able to modify all the text at the same time by having those text boxes linked together. I'm going to delete that, and I'll just let that maintain there. All right, so that's it. This is our basic demo on the character panel, doing point size, leading, kerning, tracking, vertical scale, horizontal scale, baseline shift, and rotate.